Welcome back to the Burning the Red Shirt podcast. I'm your host, Zach Tao. And again, Andrew Katz and Chris K are with me. You guys doing all right on this Thursday evening?
Dude, you sound great, Zach. You sound really good.
Do I?
No, you sound horrible to us,
awful?
but if it works for if the viewers, all 12 of them can hear you fine, that's all that matters.
Well, we'll find out. So anyway, I wanted to start off this week kind of giving a thank you to all those that listen to us and like and subscribe and just kind of interact with us on the Discord channel. So thanks for that. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to us, please do leave comments. Really would appreciate that. So we actually want to start the show with some announcement that we have. Chris, I'll kick it to you to lead that off.
Sure. Yeah. So we're super excited about it. It's a company, Underdog Fantasy. They do props and fun stuff like that, which is, it's great for those that stay on top of it and complete the gens and watch stuff at the very beginning when things are released. So partnership with them, just, if anybody that wants to join, we have a little promo, BTR or BTR pod, right? And we'll send out some info on Twitter and stuff like that, but allows you to deposit and then they match up to $100, which is cool. We'll be talking about this stuff each week. We won't go hardcore crazy with ad reads and stuff. We'll do the normal stuff, but we'll definitely just want to be able to have like a good little segment to talk about each week on top of some other stuff. And we're super excited about it. I mean, Underdog, the site is awesome. I don't know if you guys have checked it out. If you haven't, you should use that code. Then I think you guys will definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, I would say
it's a lot more addicting than you realize.
I would say that from our perspective, it's exciting for lots of different reasons, right? I mean, we started just effing around and doing a weekly podcast or something along those lines back in January because we were bored with college football ending and kept it going when just to kind of see where things were going to net out. Created a Twitter account, created a Discord, and feeling good about overall progression. But I mean, reality being, for us at this point, and for the short to medium to whatever future, more like we all have day jobs. This is just something we're doing on the side for fun. And when I think about kind of direction, I mean, a lot of people when they're starting any sort of business, they do try to think of definitive direction and an endpoint they want to get to. And while we've tossed around some ideas where it would be great if we were able to accomplish X or if we would be able to get to Y, we really are just kind of still figuring things out. I would say that given kind of the realities that are at play when it comes to what this means to us, and where we want to take it, it doesn't make a ton of sense for us to try and capitalize directly on our end users for financial gain. That's something that is, like, at this point, at minimum, very near and dear to my heart personally. The idea that we could incrementally gain financially from the people that are listening to us, are watching us, are choosing to actually invest their personal time, their personal lives in us. It doesn't really do a ton for me. The idea of looking for ways to grow what we're doing, right, and what we're setting aside a material amount of our time each week for ways that we can grow that are interesting, that are in some ways organic, and in other ways actually, like, we can see material gains associated with that growth, whether it be our Twitter account continuing to grow in popularity, our Discord continuing to grow in popularity, continuing to get more YouTube likes, subscribes, more views. All those things, I think, even if we don't have a definitive endpoint of where we want things to go, those are it feels good when we actually can see that, this is the time we're investing, the effort that we're investing, like, this is actually paying off. And additionally, in addition to like organic growth, I think that another way to think about growth is, okay, what can we do? How can we capitalize? What can we put our heads together and try and do that can actually do something in the way of actually building assets and in the form of really anything that correlates to more actual growth. So when I think about that, I think about it through the lens of, okay, how can we take advantage of other, maybe not take advantage is the right word, but how can we partner with other businesses? How can we attain sponsorships? How can we actually grow financially and establish some sort of monetary base from which we can potentially draw upon and do cool things? Well, one way, right, attaining sponsorships. I think that while we can and are kind of spinning up an interesting creative story in terms of our direction on our various platforms, I don't know if we're quite there in terms of being able to go to companies and say, hey, do you want to sponsor us directly? Partnering with other companies, though, I think is something that is was appealing to us, but really only from specific angles. So one of the things that was important to us was, hey, we only want to partner with companies we believe in, companies that are doing things the right way, and really only 2 companies stuck out to us. One of them being Home Field. Cough. Maybe someday we'll get a different answer than the one that we received when we reached out to them about a partnership. But the other one really was just the Underdog. Like I've been utilizing their platform for best ball purposes, more or less lighting money on fire, because I have absolutely no edge when it comes to the professional football scene from a fantasy perspective whatsoever. But I love everything about Underdog, both when it comes to under the hood, what they do in terms of support, what they do in terms of their UI, the products that they offer. I've never personally heard anyone have any complaint about them whatsoever that hasn't been able to be rectified, and has been rectified immediately. They do everything the right way as far as I can see. And I think that their mission is all about that from a product perspective, from a customer relationship perspective. And that is like, when I think about how I want to run a business, they are the gold standard in my book. So partnering with them, given that they are now in the college football space, in that they're offering props. We'll talk about their actual offering as we get, I think, a little closer to the season. But
I can read the offering now if you'd like.
Yeah, but more or less, the fact that they're in the college football space, that they do everything exactly how what I think to be is like, this is exactly how I would want to run a business. A business makes us gravitate towards them. And it was when we were thinking about business we wanted to partner with and that we want to associate our pristine name with, they were at the top of the list. Reached out to them, and they were it was a great conversation, great kickstart to a relationship that I think has a lot of potential right now, kind of just starting in very much in terms of hey, let's kind of spin up a link just for burning the red shirt. Let's spin up some codes for burning the red shirt, so that we can kind of look to get our community on Underdog, and we'll all have some fun this season.
Yeah. This is really great too, because we've grown pretty fast. I would say when we actually contacted Underdog, what do we have, like 240 followers, something like that?
I think it was like 250 to 300. Yeah.
I mean, we were under 300 for sure. And now what are we at? Like we're almost to 500, right?
485.
Yeah. So in just a matter of a couple weeks, we've pretty much doubled our follower count. And our Discord's grown. Got a couple best balls that we've got going on. Burning the Red Shirt sponsored best balls. I'm in one of them, actually drafting currently. I'm probably on the clock while we're doing. But
did you get in the second one, or is that all everybody else?
No, it's everybody else.
Hosted?
I just hosted. Cool. Yeah. It just didn't make sense for me to just take 2 spots, but I know Chris said we're not gonna have a bunch of ad reads. I do have one. I can do it now, or I can do it later. You'd like me to do it now?
One, I think we're obviously doing ad reads, right? It's part of the partnership,
right?
Fully on, but I want to see Zach work it. I want him to work it into a transition. This is where you make your money, okay? 100%. This is where you make your money. So yeah, there's gonna be ad reads. We're just not gonna do the old stock. Here's 45 seconds of me sounding like a robot. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Sneak it up on us.
Yeah, I'm gonna be shocked. I'm gonna be like, okay, well, cool. I got 30 seconds to recharge, type of thing.
After all that, or it's an exciting announcement. Let's get into the actual college football content that we want to talk about. There's one that I actually wanted to talk about with we've done all these best ball drafts that we do. Like the position changes happen, like mid draft or like after you've drafted, or maybe before you draft your next one where you've drafted already and now a guy's changed position. Maybe he's now a wide receiver, maybe he's a running back, maybe he has dual eligibility. What do you guys think about how you handle those situations in a league?
So Fantrax makes it customizable enough where you can, and every league that I play in does, the commissioner always makes it super clear kind of what the expectation is. And Fantrax allows you to pretty much customize it relative to whatever expectation you want to have when it comes to position eligibility. There's a myriad of different options, right? So the most common one that I think I see is you just kind of go with the flow. You play it as it lies isn't even right in the sense that the lie would be when you draft, but the most common structure I would say is whatever Fantrax does in terms of position eligibility for a player. That's just how it nets out. And another option is whatever happens on draft day, that's stuck in stone. Another option is primary position eligibility. I'm not exactly sure how it's determined, but if a player is multiple position eligible, only one of them is what he's eligible at.
Right.
And then you get into the really the nitty gritty stuff that I personally kind of hate, where some leagues will look to follow whatever the team websites say, which just creates all kinds of problems for lots of different reasons. And it just creates so many headaches. It creates fights. I don't know. It's not really the environment that I want to be a part of. But
are there any players that come to your mind?
What was that?
Are there any players that come to your mind when talking about position eligibility?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I don't think I can really put the blame directly on Fantrax on this. I would love to pull back the curtain. I would love to meet the guy to kind of quote. I wish I could get the exact quote right from the game. I don't know if you've ever seen it with Michael Douglas. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I want to pull back the curtain. I want to meet the wizard or whatever the quote is. Who is actually defining position eligibilities? Because our boy Keaton Thompson, I don't know how a stat provider is actually defining football player and translating that into the positions that actually exist. Because there's clearly been some things going on there in the sense that he's still it's a carrying over from the Bronco Mendenhall regime. I believe Keaton is still listed as football player on Virginia's official website. He is. So last year he was by the wizard of stats, whoever that may be, rendered him effectively useless in Fantrax by they just had him at quarterback all year for absolutely no good reason. I mean, I understand that he spent his first 3 years playing quarterback at Mississippi State, and then I guess obviously transferred over to Virginia, but it was inexcusable that he just had solely quarterback eligibility all of last year. But then coming into this year, we start drafting like sociopaths in March, right? And March through June, our dog Keaton has running back eligibility from March through June. Then in July, he accrues wide receiver eligibility on top of his running back eligibility. So I already had a ton of Keaton going into July, and then I see that dual eligibility. And I'm like, I need to bump this guy up like 4 more rounds and just make sure I get him everywhere, because that dual eligibility in best ball is like the insane. I had that with Calvin Turner last year. It's a cheat code.
Yeah. So Jared,
wherever he needs to make sure that you don't get a horrible stat from that position. It's amazing.
So Jared says he'll be in Canton next weekend, and the Fantrax team will be there. So he said he'll ask them.
It's what I have found very weird is in some drafts he's just one, and then in some drafts he's both.
Still.
That's what it feels like, but I don't have any.
No, so what you're seeing
data.
is a result of the commissioner settings, where some commissioners have overridden his
I was going to say, I think
Yeah.
that's a commissioner, like a league by league
overrode
setting.
the CFF site ones at a certain point, and then others just lock in on draft day his position eligibility. But people who are letting it go with the flow are like, which is fine. I mean, that's the risk that you take when you draft, I guess, someone like that. But I don't know. It feels. But so to conclude the story, yesterday his running back eligibility was removed. So in our champion series, where I haven't been like 7 drafts at this point.
Did you see the stat? Did you see the stat I put?
I was
out
going to
there?
reference that here.
There's 23 leagues that I'm in, and you're in more than me, so I'm sure you have even more shares.
Yeah.
The ones that we have 20 of the 23 shares of him.
Yeah. I was already running thin at running back just from strategic initial strategy I was utilizing, which turns out was not a good idea. And now I just had like one of the running backs that I was counting on just get sucked out for not even like sometimes. I mean, you lose players for all kinds of reasons in college fantasy. I didn't realize I was taking a material risk on losing a running back because of position eligibility. Like, I get it. He plays wide receiver. He lines up at receiver most of the time, right? But like the idea that he attained running back eligibility this offseason and kept it for 5 months.
Name someone else in college football that should have position eligibility of 2. If it's not Keaton, it's nobody. I mean, the guy had he throws the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
He'll sprinkle in there, and then I have him projected for like 45 carries, and that's what he had last year. So you're telling me 3 to 4 carries a game and 8 receptions a game is
tell me why you've been drafting him so much, because I feel like I have a huge strategic edge on him.
He feels like one of the safest guys on the board. Like, okay, so you tell me there's 2 ways to look at this, I think, right? There's the angle that if Virginia is the same as they were last year, it's an absolute steal in the 10th to 12th round, which is where we're getting him. Absolute steal. He's a top 2 receiver that's going to be scoring nonstop. Okay.
Yeah.
If you think they pass less and they run more, who is running more?
Right.
If you think that they're going to kind of slow down the offense and kind of keep Brennan Armstrong safe, who's going to score around the end zone? They're going to put Keaton at quarterback. I mean, the guy was a quarterback. He just was not a Mike Leach quarterback. Like I'm sure he could have gone G5 and been a pretty decent quarterback in MAC, right?
Oh,
so like he can throw the football.
Yeah.
So to me, it's the safest bet there is.
Yeah. So you want to listen to this conspiracy theory? That actually has some foundation to it, unlike the Logan Bonner one. So do you know who their OC is this year? Virginia's offensive coordinator?
It's the guy from Clemson, isn't it?
No, he's the coach. He's the head coach.
Oh, Tony Elliott's the head coach.
So their OC is Des Ketchings. He was the running backs coach for the Falcons last year with Cordero.
Cordero Patterson, yeah.
So I've dug up snippets and little bits of information that they don't want to talk. I don't think they want to talk about it too much because they don't want to give away what they're going to do. But you can find, if you look hard enough, some interviews, some hints that Keaton could be used and probably will be used like Cordero Patterson was.
That feels pretty similar. Feels like they're both.
It's a glove fit. And even let's say that doesn't happen, he's still awesome as a receiver. You're right. There's so many paths to him being a really valuable fantasy asset, and some of them are absolutely nuclear relative to his value in terms of just crushing what you have to pay for him from draft. Me and you have pushed him up to the point now where all right, it's starting to get a little bit riskier. But I was taking him every single draft in the 16th round.
Yeah,
for months.
Yeah, but now he goes between if we're in it, he goes between 8 and 12. At 12, I pretty much, if he's not been taken, I just have to take him the next time I'm before Andrew, because I know it's off the board. But to my original point, who in Fantrax could be dual eligible if he's not?
So the one name that popped in my head, and it just came out, I think the other day, Tyrone Tracy. They said that he's going to play running back and receiver for
Iowa?
For Purdue.
Oh, for Purdue, formerly of that. But he hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
He's literally never done
I know.
it.
I'm just saying, I literally saw that 2 days ago, and I thought, hey, but he doesn't have dual eligibility. I mean, I know it's just recent news, but they're probably not going to give it to him either.
Andrew, did you know that when you took Devonta Lee for Louisiana Tech, that like in other formats he is dual eligible?
Dude, I saw that because I think West just took him right in the other league, or someone just took him.
I just took him in the redraft.
Dude, there's
and
some wild position eligibility things going. Dude, Nick Winning Edge pointed out to me that Deion Hankins has wide receiver eligibility.
Makes no sense. But I got to give credit to Nate Marquise from C2C and doing the CFF stuff. He's the one that said something about it this morning in the Slack. But yeah, and the best part about it is he's tight end eligible with receiver. Like running back receiver is awesome, right?
He's
he's
not actually listed as a tight end, right?
I think website. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So Jared says, can we get another random CUSA running back to get tight end eligibility?
Jared knows what he's in for when with position eligibility after doing the conference best balls.
Oh yeah, I remember
conference best balls are the death of me.
I remember it wasn't that long ago.
What made you choose to get in the CUSA one? And admittedly, this one's going a lot better than the Mountain West one. That one is it's disgusting.
Jared approached me and I was like, why not? I'm in this because I'm in the 50 teamer and I'm SEC CUSA. So I was like, this would be a good primer. So I figured, why not?
Yeah. Basically after you didn't get it, after the first pick, like we're now drafting in like round like 6 of a regular draft. Like as soon as Dwayne McBride was off the board, it's like the next best player is Tyrese Chambers. It's like great. So the second best player in the league is like a 6th round value.
Yeah. Okay. My first pick was 6th overall, and I took Frank Harris. So like that's where I'm at.
So I want to transition to you said speak of value in drafts. So we want to talk about some guys that maybe are being undervalued, guys that probably should be going higher than they are, but are falling in drafts for whatever reason. Like, do you guys have any players that jump out to you? I'll say that I like Jonathan Mingo. To me, is going a lot lower than I feel like he may end up being. End of the season, you might look back and say, "Man, why did he go in the 14th, 15th, 16th round?"
He went in 19th in 19th, our draft.
Yeah,
right now.
Like I think he could easily be a top 12 round player when it's all said and done. When you look back, in that offense, I know he's had injury history, but I have to assume that he stays healthy. Like I assume everybody that I draft stays healthy. You can't go in saying, "Oh, he's going to get hurt." I don't do that. Then everybody can get hurt. But that's one of the players that I would have picked. You guys have any stick out to you?
One that's like now it's very interesting. Like news broke a little bit with Xavier Valladay, our guy.
Mm-hmm.
That he's been getting a lot of first team reps at Arizona State, and now he is going off the board much earlier than he used to be. And I don't know, that just feels like an interesting situation. Like we might be buying into fall camp stuff that's not all that valuable, but
yeah,
he's an interesting guy because if Arizona State can handle 2 running backs, I think to an extent, right? So if he's the first, if he's the starter, that's a huge value in the 20s. And the other position, one that's interesting to me, and I don't know if there's an answer, is Arkansas receivers. Yeah. Like they've done a pretty good job of creating a receiver one and just throwing it to him nonstop. And Hazelwood and Landers are just not being picked anywhere near it. Not to say that they should, but that's just a really interesting situation for me too.
I think that comes down to people don't want to take the one and the other one, because I think the separation between 1 and 2 is rather large. So if they pick the wrong one, then you might get next to nothing fantasy wise, especially at the value that you're looking at. Andrew, did you have anybody? Because I got another one if you don't.
You go. Let me come up with something good.
So I'm in this best ball draft for our official BTR one, and I grabbed JT Daniels and started thinking like, why is he going so late just in a best ball? I feel like, especially in my league with 6 points, passing touchdowns. Like, I feel like that's criminally low. We could be talking about him as being a top 15 quarterback at the end of the season, statistically. With Graham Harrell, he's going to throw it around everywhere.
The problem for me is that he's such a statue that he's not going to give you any rushing stuff. Like, I actually really like him. I've taken him more recently. You know, I think when he went to West Virginia and Andrew talked about him a little bit, like, I got very interested, especially with where he's being taken. I don't think he's got like the top 15 potential, but there's no reason for him not to be in the low 20s on average easily. I like him. I think he's probably going a little bit later than he should, for sure.
It's just thinking about it through the lens of like, okay, he goes maybe not nuclear, but puts up 80th to 90th percentile of what he can do. And you're talking high 300s yards, 3 TDs, and rushing stats just give him 0, right? So that is what, 15 and 12, 27 points. Like, that doesn't do that much for you.
If he has a Devin Leary year, which is 2 rushing touchdowns, 35 passing touchdowns, 3,400 passing yards, he's still only at 23.5 fantasy points per game.
Yeah.
Are you using 4 points or 6?
That's 4.
See, I guess that's probably my thinking. Like, if I'm using 6, then it changes things.
Yeah, you're getting an extra 5 points a game.
Yeah,
it's pretty significant. I mean, I think if you're in a 6-point league, is very enticing. If people aren't adapt, like when we did this redraft, it was 6 points per passing, and I immediately was like, why take a risk on Plum Lee? And maybe Finn and Harris aren't as enticing to me because of they're more deadly on the ground than they are throwing it. You think of a guy like Will Rogers, that feels like a lock for him to be amazing. Did you come up with one, Andrew?
I just took Tion Evans in our champion series that we're doing right now. I've been sketched out about Travion Cooley, even though he goes fairly early in drafts that in our circles. Like, yeah, I understand he's talented and he performed well as a freshman and continues to, like, you hear good things about how he looks and stuff like that. But I don't know. I haven't really bought in just in terms of the here and now for him. And Tion Evans performed really well at Tennessee, was brought over via the portal after the Louisville run game was really not representative at all of what Scott Satterfield is looking for. I think that based on actions this offseason and just what makes sense from a career trajectory perspective, optimally speaking, Louisville does not rely entirely on the Malik freelancing as the foundation of their game this year and wants to get their running game flowing through their running backs more. We've seen Jalen Mitchell kind of flame out. And initial reports, I think, trend towards Tion Evans ascending to the starter mantle coming into camp. I haven't really read up too much on the initial days of practice, but if we want to bank on the trend of a coach producing top level running backs, right? Satterfield checks that box, and Evans is talented based on everything we've seen. So I think that where he was going was pretty much undrafted. Our boy Matt Westby, I'm sure I'm not actually saying it right. He takes him in all the leagues where I'm in with him, which is annoying because he doesn't get drafted in any other, and I've started to take him a little bit, and I just went up and got him a little earlier this time to make sure that whoever took Cooley couldn't kind of swipe it before I could get a chance to take him. But I think I'm in when I'm trying to like throw darts based on systems. Evans is the guy I want to throw the dart at from the Louisville backfield.
Well, he's got the interesting situation of like why transfer there if you're not gonna
play,
be significant, or have like the first crack at it type thing, like a legitimate shot at it.
Have you listened to Wes and Josh Pod at all yet?
Not yet. Every time I'm not available.
It's effing insane. Like that. Wes is just a lunatic because he references stuff that I don't even understand where he gets this information. So Wes's go-tos are talking about high school fantasy points per game, which is deranged, and also referencing how much NIL money guys are making as a point of context in terms of projecting role. I mean, so first of all that stuff is like I think it's so funny and interesting from a data point perspective in terms of trying to think about like anytime we can build a profile more and to then action on, given how imperfect our information presently is, it's amazing to try and enhance that profile, right? And this is like Wes actually doing this. I think is insane. It's awesome. But his what he quoted or was roughly that like Travion's making something like not that much in terms of NIL money. I think it was between like 10 and 40K, and Tion Evans got like 250K, which is yeah. So it's like who's gonna start at running back? Like, come on.
Did you watch the Debbie debate
No.
last night that C2C released? Matt from their team, or yeah, I guess I should say our team because I do stuff with them.
Team McCord.
I'm everywhere. And I'm not going to get into that joke. Not safe for work. He made a really interesting point. He was like, NIL money makes so much sense, and it even gets to like the point of like these quarterbacks, their families are typically like super rich. Like the first guy I thought it was like Zach Wilson, right? Like his dad, like was he work like high up or owns or CEO of like FedEx or something? Like what does NIL money do for him? Like you actually have to have stuff that's enticing to come to the school. And I think his example was Novastad, the guy that's going to Baylor. And like Nelson, the guy that's going to USC, was visiting A&M. So I thought that was super funny. But I also wasted, in a sense, 10 minutes of my time reading about how high school, it's so funny that you brought this up. Yeah. High school fantasy points per game is a pretty strong indicator of success in college. I was like, it was totally so impressive. Yeah, it's so amazing. And like the data points actually seem legit. Like he went back through 2015, looked at all the stats and stuff, and like if they don't perform over like 16 fantasy points per game, then they're not going to be successful in college. I'm just completely blown away by it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's what happens when CFF grows, is that you get cool stuff like that.
Yeah.
I got one more undervalued.
Yeah, for
sure. And it's Arkansas State passing game, I think, is being super undervalued. Especially in best ball formats where I don't have to necessarily care if I'm playing Hunt over another guy. But like if you look at Tavalence Hunt's 2021 season, he had like 4 or 5 weeks of like 20 plus fantasy points. And that was with like, I mean, Blackman was pretty awful at times and they rotated and stuff like that. But like Blackman's going pretty late.
Yeah.
And Hunt's
I actually
going pretty
considered
late.
Taking him pretty soon. And like I'm like around 27, I think.
They're going to pass so much, you know, that's just what they do. In a best ball format, I love that. I have no issue with that at all.
So we do a lot of best ball drafts, tracks. If somebody's looking for a best ball draft, why not choose Underdog Fantasy? Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy football. Draft your team with no in-season management, get the optimal score each week of the season, and have a shot at over $10 million. Yes, you heard me, $10 million in total prize money in their Best Ball Mania 3 contest. Head to underdogfantasy.com or the App Store now, sign up with the code BTR or use BTR Pod, and Underdog is going to match your first deposit up to $100. Again, Underdog Fantasy, sign up with the code BTR Pod or BTR and draft your Best Ball Mania 3 team today. Now,
dude, that was incredible. I just felt like I got there within 5 seconds. It was so good. 1 for 1. I'll give you that. 1 for 1. Let's see how the season goes.
Okay, so they got comments. Bainbridge says, "Bravo transition. I'm gonna be awful now moving forward. Like I used it all right there." So, Andrew, you don't have any more players to talk about?
I'm good.
Do you guys want to go ahead and do win totals?
Let's do some win totals.
Okay, so I already went ahead and picked 3 to do.
Did we do Boise? Is Boise one of them?
They are, but we're going to start with Toledo. I don't know if you guys can see that on the screen. Probably
Yeah, I can
pretty.
see it.
Okay. Toledo starts with LIU. CS, obviously, win. Then they get,
I feel like we've done Toledo, but
Have we
that
done
must have
Toledo?
been Kent State. It's got to be Kent State that we did, right?
I didn't think we did
It
Toledo.
just
I don't have them marked down on the sheet.
I'm sure we did not do it.
We did.
No,
I know we
I
did.
think we did it.
I think we did Kent State, but we didn't do Toledo.
They
Do you
all
have
play
the
the
spreadsheet?
same teams and they have the same colors.
Yeah. So I wanted to. We didn't have any suggestions, so I just went ahead, jumped to Toledo. So LIU, we're going to give them a win at home. UMass, I assume we give them a win at home also.
Oh yeah.
Then
Nice start.
this is where it gets a little dicey. At Ohio State in week 3, I think we all agree that's an L.
Yeah.
Then
Thank God they're at 7 p.m. on Fox for that, huh? Although honestly, I kind of like that.
Yeah. So
I'll take Ohio State primetime games are always so much fun.
Yeah, especially if they do like a blackout or something. Like those things are always pretty dope.
Then they follow that up with another road trip, San Diego State. That seems like a loss.
That'll be an interesting one.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if they beat them, then it could really push them to be like pretty legit the rest of the way. Yeah. Like if you can win at San Diego State.
Like I love DeQuan Finn. You guys know that's my dog and everything. But San Diego State is just notoriously sound on defense. Yeah, they're just tough to beat. I'm gonna give them a loss there.
I think loss.
That's a long travel.
Yeah, and they're taking bus. It's Toledo. Have you guys seen their new San Diego State side note? Have you seen San Diego State's new stadium that they're like?
Amazing.
Yeah, it looks awesome, and they made it smaller, which is awesome. Like in terms of, why build like an 80,000 seat stadium when they're not going to be there, right?
They play in Qualcomm and fill up like 30% of it.
Yeah, that place looks sweet. That'll be I don't know, maybe we go there in 2023.
Yeah,
cool. All right, well they go get homecoming against Central Michigan. I give them a win.
Yeah, I like that.
Then Central Michigan and them, I think, are the two betting favorites for the MAC right now. I think they're both like in the plus 400 range. The MAC is like, in terms of favorites to win the conference, I think they might have like the highest odds for the betting favorite. Like it's very undecided coming into this.
Interesting.
Year. Very MAC.
Right. So we're gonna give them a win against Central Michigan. I'm giving them a win. Chris?
It's homecoming, you said? Yeah,
homecoming.
We'll give them one there.
All right, the win. You follow it up at NIU. I'm gonna give them a win.
I mean, I guess we have to ask ourselves, where do we put Toledo in the MAC? Because if they're like a middle of the pack team, then I would probably lean loss here. But if they're like a top 2 or 3 team, then like I would say win. So do we?
I think it's a bounce back year for them. I think that they I think that they're not just a face in the crowd or even in the upper part of the crowd in the MAC. I think that the conference is probably theirs this year.
Yeah, I like it. I like a win there, personally.
Yeah. In Kent State, I don't remember what we picked, but I'm pretty sure we picked Toledo to win.
I think we picked Kent State to win, and I like Kent State. Yeah, this game will be fun. This is
I'm sure I was foaming at the mouth for Kent State to win every single game.
This is like 57-56 type.
We had Kent State winning 8. So
nice.
That's good though, because Kent State's got 3 auto losses.
Right. So what did we're gonna go with? A loss?
I like Kent State here, yeah.
They're at home in the Glass Bowl. I think we gave them the win because I remember.
I think this was probably the one Kent State conference loss that we gave them.
Because I remember
when you guys can go losses.
I remember Andrew saying in the Glass Bowl, they're not going to beat them in the Glass Bowl.
Yeah. Give Toledo the win here.
All right.
I think we hit our Glass Bowl quota in one night on that episode. So like I think we said that like on every matchup. But I'm down with it. I'm cool with it.
Okay. At Buffalo.
It's a win.
At Eastern Michigan.
I like a win. Yeah.
Okay.
They lost, the future starting quarterback for Cincinnati, but I think they'll be fine.
We don't have enough time to talk
struggle.
They
about
got
that.
Baydoun. They still got Baydoun, so they're in good
Yeah,
shape.
Baydoun, yeah.
He'll get 15 catches for 93 yards and no touchdowns. Okay. They get the bye week, and then Maction starts. True Maction starts Tuesday night against Ball State. It's either at
Prime time.
7 or 7:30 on either ESPN2, ESPNU, or CBS SN. They don't know
So
it.
did Sears never wind up on campus in Muncie? Is that what I guess that's how I know it out there? Jack Sears never wound up at Ball State.
Was he
What the
supposed
fuck
to?
was that guy doing? Like,
Has anybody seen Jack Sears? Do we need to throw him in a milk carton?
I follow him on Twitter and have the have notifications turned on, and he just never tweets.
Has anybody seen Jack Sears? Please, listeners, if you've seen or heard from him, please make sure that we know proof of life that he's okay.
Yeah. Problem is when you do a Twitter search for Jack Sears, I don't know.
It's tough.
It's tough because there's apparently a race car driver named Jack Sears. So
It could have been much worse.
And he's more relevant than the guy we're looking for. So it's kind of tough.
Could have been much worse. Let's just put it that way.
We'll win over Ball State unless Jack shows up.
Yeah, right. And you okay? So if Jack Sears shows up, you pick Ball State.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay. Put that on record. All right. Then the next Tuesday they get Bowling Green at home.
It's a win.
Yeah, I think they went out.
And then at Western to close on a Friday night, Black Friday.
Is it a night game? There's no way it's night.
It says noon.
Yeah, that's dude. All the MAC games on Black Friday are always like noon, they don't play Black Friday night games in the MAC.
To recap, we go win, loss. So 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins. We have them winning. We're going 10-2.
Over under is 8.
Perfect. 10-2.
Yeah, I feel good.
The only 2 games they're going to lose at Ohio State, at San Diego State.
Yeah,
it seems wrong.
That lines up.
I like it.
They just run through the MAC. They probably lose 1 game in the MAC. But
they probably do.
I don't know which it is.
I'm not picking it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next team we're going to go with, Boise State.
That's why I wore the shirt.
Yep. They got a tough one to start, like they usually do. They usually front load because Mountain West is usually. But I say that this year, and I saw something today that says there's like 6 teams that are favored to win every game this year.
I saw that too.
And Air Force is one of them.
I got out of my Air Force bet because I'm getting too sketched out by having to like trust this garbage information about if their star players are going to be playing or not. I'm like, I can't. This is bad for my mental health. I need to just get out of this.
Did you like lose like $8 just to
No. I got a good line when I bet the under. I got plus money, so I was able to I'm fine. I'm out.
Nice.
Yeah, you know that would eat at me having to like lose the $8 on the deck.
Oh man, that's great.
But it created great content that 1 week.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, they at Oregon State, opening week. I think the line's like 2.5, 3.5. I think it was Oregon State was favored.
This is like
the classic Boise game. We'll know what they are after that game. Like they either annihilate them or they just get run off the field.
I have a hard time going against 7th year Hank.
Right. I'm going to pick Boise here too.
I like Boise.
Okay. It's Boise.
And I guess, Andrew, you don't like Boise then. You'd pick Oregon State.
I think I would. I don't know. It's tough for I don't know what I'm supposed to base my confidence in Boise on now.
Look, I'm right there with you. I think I said it weeks ago. I'm not really sure what we're about to see from this team. I think the defense is going to be solid, but they don't score a bunch of points. I don't know. I'm not like super confident that Oregon State's just great either.
I mean, they don't have like a stellar quarterback play. They have like a bunch of random running backs that might be good. And I think the consensus is that Damian Martinez is the best one, but like how many times do we see the best running back on the team not get a fair shot or like not get real playing time until like week 4? So like I don't know. I just have a hard time picking either of them, but if I'm going to go with one of them, I'm going to go with the one that's like perennially a winner.
That's fine. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, they follow it up with a Friday night, short week, Friday night at New Mexico. The win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then UT Martin will give them a win there. So 3-0, looking good. This is where I'm like, okay, we might have something this year. And then at UTEP, Friday night again. I think we would give them a win there.
Yeah, so 4-0 to start things off.
4-0, and I think this is where it starts to crumble.
But are those next 2 games home?
They're at home. Away? They're both at home.
Why is
it's called Albertson Stadium?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was confused. So that's nice. 2 tough games against San Diego State and Fresno, but both at home.
It's ideal. It's actually the schedule actually sets up very nicely for them.
Yeah.
They get San Diego State, Fresno at home. They get the bye week to prepare for Air Force, which is kind of nice. If you're going to need a bye week, that's the team you're going to want the extra week to prepare for.
I mean, you couldn't ask for more. I'm inclined to give them a win over San Diego State and then a loss to Fresno. Yeah.
That's a great Friday night game. I'm going to have to my wife is not going to be happy with me watching that game, but I'm hoping she's working. Let's just put it that way.
On FS1.
I get FS1. That's awesome. CBS Sports Network is the one that gets me.
All right, I'll agree with the win against San Diego State and then loss to Fresno. So they would be 5-1 going into the bye week. Coming off the bye at Air Force. I hate Air Force.
Yeah.
I hate the football team. I don't hate the Air Force.
You hate the troops.
You're anti-America?
Yeah. I just hate playing Air Force.
2 big announcements in one night?
They're
just tricky, man. It's just tricky, and it's the whole Georgia Tech thing, right? Like back in the day, people as a Virginia Tech fan, I used to hear it all the time. It was like, we're going to spend 1 day a week where we're going to spend half the time practicing for Georgia Tech. It's like, are we really wasting like an hour and a half on triple option BS every single week? Like, that's what it does. I wonder if they don't do that as much with the full bye week beforehand, but it's just annoying. But they're just so good at it.
Yeah, it's tough because you really know what a triple option team is going to do for the game. Like, they'll open up the game. If they go right down the field and score, it's gonna be a lot. Like, they usually don't just figure it out on the fly. You either know how to stop it from the get-go, or
I agree,
or you don't. So if they come out and they make a few stops and it's 14-0 Boise, I think they run away with it. So
if you think their Boise's defense isn't all that great, though, right? Like,
no, I think it's
you
actually
have to
decent.
have serious discipline to play in Air Force.
I think they have the best defensive player in the conference, but he plays a safety. So, what does that really do for you?
Well, that's the pitch guy. He's the pitch guy.
You're right, but if you're hitting them with the dive all night long, it doesn't matter about the pitch guy.
Well, that's when you hope that your other guys can focus
interior
on the dive and the quarterback.
Yeah.
And you make them pitch to your surefire safety.
I'm going to pick them to win because if I think they can
beat
if I think they're going to beat San Diego State, I'm going to pick them to beat Air Force too. Thoughts?
I'm fine with it. I won't be watching it because it's on CBS Sports Network, but I'm cool with it.
Jared says you got to get Fubo.
We'll get C2C to cover it.
Oh, there you go. Then they follow that up with Colorado State. They get them at home.
I don't know.
They probably win.
If you have them beating Air Force, that's a pretty strong performance.
I think it really just depends on what Boise's offense looks like. If they're squeaking games out 21-14, I don't know that they beat Colorado State because we expect them to put up some points. They may not be able to stop anybody. but they.
Yeah,
At that point in the Mountain West season too, it gets real dicey because it's starting to get cold. I don't know.
George Halani is going to miss a game randomly.
I don't feel super comfortable picking them to win that game.
One counter argument is we put Norville kind of on this pedestal from a fantasy perspective, but and last year was the peak of what he did at Nevada, and they went 8-4. So in year one at a program where they kind of just went and dropped in a lot of the players.
Is Colorado State not better?
System.
Just like, don't they have just better players than Nevada does?
I don't know that. Did you watch what Colorado State did last year on the football field?
Well, right, but that was Adazio, right?
Yeah, I assume that they have a lot of players on that roster that were recruited to do Adazio's bully ball. Like, there's still holdovers there. They probably don't have a full roster of players that are conducive to doing air raid type stuff and whatever it is they do on defense.
Okay,
I don't know.
I think they beat them now.
Yeah, I think it's a win over Colorado State.
All right. Well, I'll go. Then BYU to follow. They get them at home. I don't think it matters. I think that's just that's the rivalry game on the schedule.
Yeah. Is that the last game of the year?
No, they've got 3 more after that.
I mean, I like BYU, so they would get my vote. I feel like we've given Boise the benefit of the doubt on a lot of these so far.
I would probably lean BYU
also.
also. They have the better quarterback. As much as I hate to say it, they have the better quarterback.
Better running back.
They have probably the better collection of wide receivers. And I mean, Boise, there's so much unknown. We'll see, I guess, but I'm going to lean BYU here.
Yep. Then they get a good stretch here. Nevada and Wyoming are the 2 games you won on the road.
Yeah, the problem is you're playing at Wyoming November 19th. You could be in a foot of snow in that game. Did you know they're like 7,200 feet above sea level?
I did not.
I did not realize it, but I'm not surprised once you say it.
Yeah. But let's back up. Nevada, I think they beat them.
Yeah, it's a win.
At Wyoming, I think they beat them too. It might be ugly. Based on weather. Then Utah State to close out at home. That might be for the conference.
It's in and at like 9 a.m. or some shit. Like, they think that what they did last year wasn't such a great idea. They had to run it back where they start the Utah State Boise State game at like 9 a.m.
Yeah, 9 a.m. out there. Yeah,
it just doesn't work like that. It's only cool if you're watching. I don't know.
You remember that game last year? It was on main slate, and the concerns, right, from a fantasy perspective were like, well, how would the players get up for this? And it was a terribly played game.
Like physically get up for it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's shitty. It sucks as a
it's just
to do that.
So I don't know if people realize when a game is at like 9, you're like anytime you're like at the stadium 3 hours before.
Yeah.
Like when I was playing baseball, the game would be at 7 and I would show up at 1:45, 2 o'clock. Like, you're telling me, like, we'd have like the kids. Oh my God. The kids' day games at 11 in Chicago was just brutal. And we would be there at like 8, wouldn't hit BP. We would just stretch a little bit, hit off the tee, and then just roll with it and see what happens. So
what do we think about that last game? Because it truly could be for the conference.
Yeah.
I don't.
Bonner's knee has finally given out by that point, so I'll give it to Boise.
We're pro Boise here.
I'll ride with that. So they've lost 2 games. 10-2.
They lose to Fresno, and we have them losing to Colorado State, right?
But BYU.
Or BYU. So that's what it is, not Colorado State. So there's 2, yeah. We have to be way over.
Oh shoot! I didn't look up what it was.
We're gonna do, Andrew. We're gonna do one more. We're gonna go. We'll make it quick.
That's straight. Here, let me look up Boise's win total. So how many wins did we give them?
10. What's it?
It
7.5.
Ooh, 9.
Okay.
Wow.
With
we
slight
go.
juice on the over.
All right.
Wow. I would have said 7.5 at best.
Oof.
Let's crank this out. Let's
All
crank
right.
this last one out.
Last one's Nebraska.
Okay.
This
This
was a Discord quest, so covering Nebraska. We did Northwestern already, who
Yeah.
they open with. I don't know
In
who we
Ireland.
picked. In Ireland, correct. Aviva
Nebraska.
Stadium. All right, Nebraska to open up the win. Get North Dakota. Week 2. Win. Georgia Southern week 3. It's looking nice.
Yeah.
3-0.
Nebraska's back.
Yeah.
And then they play Oklahoma.
Then they get Oklahoma. They get the double bye week this year too.
They do.
So they get Oklahoma, noon kick, week 4, loss. Agreement.
Yep.
All right. Week
Yep.
5's a bye. Homecoming with Indiana.
I like it.
Win.
They're going to win that one.
All right, Andrew. At Rutgers on a Friday night.
We gave that to Rutgers, right?
Yeah, we gave that to Rutgers. This is like going to tee up for typical Northwest or Nebraska, by the way, right? Like
yeah, and then they lose to
6-6.
Purdue.
Yeah, then they're gonna go loss. Rutgers, Purdue, get the bye week. They'll come back and beat Illinois, I think.
Yeah, I think Illinois is garbage.
Make up for last year.
And then I think they lose out.
Yeah, I think they lose out.
Minnesota at Michigan, Wisconsin at Iowa. I don't think they
win. I can see them beating Minnesota.
If Ibrahim is fine, it's over.
You think so?
That's the only game that's close. But I think
I'm gonna say they lose out.
I
think they start. I think they start okay, and then they just kind of fade.
So they win Northwestern,
2, 3,
North Dakota Southern,
4, 5.
Indiana.
If 5 wins.
5. Yep. That sounds right. That number's got to be 5.5 or 6.
All right, Andrew. What is it?
No, it's high. It's much higher.
7.
I think. Let me pull it up.
It's because they probably feel good about Rutgers and Purdue.
People love hyping Nebraska going into every year. Their win totals are always like kind of high. 7.5.
7.5, and we have them winning 5. Well, we do influence lines too.
Yeah,
in numbers. So
check on that line in a week.
Right. Now that we've put our thoughts into
it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's all we got tonight. We'll wrap it up here. So to recap, we announced our underdog partnership. We talked about position eligibility changes in fan tracks and undervalued players, and then we did our win total series. So we wrapped it up a lot in just under an hour. So this is actually one of our shorter pods. So we did pretty good.
This is quality, efficient. Hey,
yeah.
I'm going to tweet out the info for Underdog, but like us, review us, subscribe to us, all of the above.
Join the Discord.
Tell us your thoughts and ask questions specific to Underdog if you have them in the future.
One thing I want to add. So the Discord, we added a tailgate channel. This was actually Andrew's idea, really. I don't know if it was fully how it kind of came out with how I implemented it. But anyway, come to the Discord channel. You go to a game this year, post pictures, post what you're eating, drinking, what you're tailgating, what the tailgate scene is. I think it'd be a cool way for the community to kind of see firsthand other parts of the country that you may never ever get to experience. And I think it'd be really cool.
Even better, someone's going to a game in Blacksburg. Maybe I can give somebody a tip or two of where to go. I think Brandon from Michigan State was given tips on Central Michigan. Where else do you
where to eat?
Central Michigan. Yeah, that's awesome. I think everybody loves going to random games, and if you can give some tips, that's awesome.
Definitely. Recon networking. It'll be cool.
So cool. We're going to try to do regular time again. We're a Thursday this week. We'll try to keep it Thursdays, but we're going to try to hone in a day moving forward. So getting close to the season, guys. So we're almost there. Until next week, guys, have a good one.